This is CBC Vancouver News.
We don't have a province-wide outbreak. We've had a single importation.
One case of measles has been found in BC as infections rise across the world. Doctors in the province ask you to make sure you're vaccinated. Also,
we want to see people travel with others, especially in any kind of avalanche terrain.
as BC mountains get a huge dump of snow, safety experts warn you to be careful after a deadly avalanche and numerous calls for help.
When an irresistible force.
And remembering Canada's First Lady of Jazz.
I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets.
The long life of trailblazer Eleanor Collins. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. We start with another major transit shutdown tonight. Transit police say much of the Canada line is closed after a person walked onto the tracks between Bridgeport Station in Richmond and Marine Drive in South Vancouver. At last check, police say that person is sitting on the tracks, which have now been powered down. A bus bridge is now running between Aberdeen and Oakridge 41st. A shuttle train is operating between YVR Airport and Templeton and between Richmond Brickhouse and Aberdeen Station. Transit police say officers and a negotiator have been called in, while Vancouver Police, the emergency response team, paramedics, and firefighters are also standing by. It says, as far as it knows, no Canada Line passengers are stuck on trains because of this shutdown. Customers can check for updates on the TransLink website. It's the second big transit shutdown today. The Millennium Line was also closed for a time earlier this evening. BC has now added a single case of measles to a list of growing cases across the country. Infections of the highly contagious disease are rising in some parts of the world. Chad Pawson explains how much risk people here are facing.
BC's case came from a traveler to the province. They were unvaccinated and discovered to have measles when they sought medical attention in the Vancouver area. BC health officials are being cautious.
I think the likelihood of acquiring measles in British Columbia at this point is very, very low. So we don't have a province-wide outbreak. We've had a single importation. Fortunately, it was imported into probably the part of our province with the highest vaccination rates.
The case is tied to the city of Richmond. Vancouver Coastal Health is warning over two possible exposure points. First at the Vancouver Airport Hotel on Westminster Highway, and then at the ICBC location on Number 3 Road. People who are at these locations from February 24th to March 2nd should watch for fever, cough, runny nose, red eyes, and an eventual rash.
I'm concerned about every case of measles. You'll recall in 2019, there were 29 cases of measles in British Columbia, and we took very strong action to address that at that time, including actions that led to the immunization of 38,000 school-age children.
Officials in BC are using the case to reiterate the importance of being and getting vaccinated against measles, especially as families plan vacations and travel for the March school break.
We should not have diseases that should be eliminated in British Columbia, like measles, flaring up like we've seen in other parts of the world. And also to everybody who's trafficking and misinformation about vaccines, they make us safer.
But how do you know for sure if you've been vaccinated?
Yes, I've been vaccinated for measles.
For measles?
Yeah.
And how do you know?
You know, Mom has the sheet to show.
I guess I am.
You guess you are? How would you find out for sure? Do you know?
It's been a long time, but I'm pretty sure I am.
Yeah.
My mom has told me already about it.
All my children are vaccinated. I know exactly where their vaccination booklets are. But I think people in their late 50s, it's true, it might not be so obvious to know how to check.
If your mom says, you know what, you had all your vaccines as a kid, I know you did, we don't consider that to be the best source of information if it's undocumented. But if you know that for sure you weren't in a vaccine refusing household, then chances are you were vaccinated.
Still, if you are unsure over vaccination or have only received one dose, BC officials are encouraging you to get the jab. That's unless you were born prior to 1970. In that case, you're most likely already immune. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Victoria.
Well, the dire warnings came true this weekend. A deadly avalanche killed one person in Revelstoke yesterday. Well, there's plenty of fresh power to get skiers and boarders excited. Avalanche Canada says the conditions remain dangerously unpredictable. Zara Premji has more on the warnings and risks if you head out.
Be very, very cautious if you choose to head into the backcountry.
A warning that's been repeated throughout the last week and continues.
It's very tempting to head out to those bigger lines when skies turn blue and there is so much fresh snow, especially because it's been such a strange season. But like I said, it's a waiting game. We can't really outsmart this problem.
Following the death of one person in Revelstoke and 9 others needing rescues in the southwestern part of the province on Sunday, avalanche forecasters have extended their warnings until at least Thursday as hazardous conditions persist in the backcountry.
We want to see people travel with others, especially in any kind of avalanche terrain, and make sure they have really good communication and navigation equipment. If people are not able to get a message out on their location, it could be a really serious situation for them.
Barnett's team was called to one of the 9 rescues needed Sunday, and his team is warning if the terrain is not safe and you're stuck in the backcountry, be prepared to spend the night.
We're extremely concerned because our fear is we may not be able to get to these people, and that may be by choice. We're not going to send our members into steep avalanche terrain when the conditions are as high as they were last night.
But if you were looking to take to the hills safely, there were way more options today, with local ski hills offering a lot more runs and packed with lots of families taking the day off to soak up the sun-covered ski runs.
Oh, so slow to start. So slow. Like we should have been up here in January at least.
Great to get out here. I mean, pretty far and few between with climate change and everything else. So, yeah, we're just appreciating the day.
Yeah, super excited.
But if the skiers are tempted by the fresh powder off the beaten path, a warning.
Stick to lower elevations, less technical terrain, less mountainous terrain. People can still go out safely and enjoy many of the areas.
And he reminds adventurers search and rescue is available and free of charge if you need help. So call. Zara Premji, CBC News, West Vancouver.
Parts of Vancouver Island also woke up to a winter blast after 15 centimeters of snow fell overnight in some areas. As Claire Palmer shows us, skiers and outdoor enthusiasts had a much more fun day than drivers.
Vancouver Island Violet has been providing predictions since 2022, and so far, she is 2 for 2.
Vancouver Island Marmot Van Isle Violet's predictions for 6 more weeks of winter seem to be coming true, as snow fell across the island over the weekend. The Nanaimo area saw upwards of 5 centimeters of accumulation Sunday night.
It's been off and on. We've had a little snow lately, but not enough to scare us.
When we moved here, we thought we were getting away from the snow when we moved from the interior, and here it is, beginning of March, and we got snow again. So
been here, living here for 35 years, and you can be down to your shirt sleeves in March, or you can be building a snowman. So you get a little bit of everything in March.
Main Roads, which maintains highways in the region, says that roads look good this morning. However, with temperatures expected to dip again, operations manager Stefan Yancey advises caution.
And yeah, it was a bit of a challenging storm as we saw the really wet snow come down and then the temperatures drop overnight, which is great conditions for black ice to form. So,
a number of bus routes in the Campbell River region were canceled on Sunday due to snow, as well as Canada Post service. Bowen Island lost power, but amid the inconvenience, a welcome break for skiers, as Mount Washington saw 11 centimeters fall in 48 hours. Comox Valley Search and Rescue says anywhere between 50 to 100 centimeters fell in the alpine backcountry over the past few days, but they say the recent snowfall has increased avalanche risk.
I think the big piece right now is just everybody kind of waking back up again to all the things they need to remember when they're going back out in the backcountry. Good habits. That's what's the best safety measure that you can have.
And it's back to basics on the road as well.
I would definitely recommend people keep in touch and go through Drive BC to check the latest driving conditions. And, if it's going to be icy, if you can not travel or readjust their schedule, it would be recommended for sure.
And a reminder, snow tires are still required on many major BC highways until April 30th. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
BC's longtime environment minister is not seeking re-election this fall.
I think I have one more career in me, and I'd rather start it at 75 than 79. And also, there's just a lot of really good people in my caucus who I know are eager and have all the skills and enthusiasm to do the kind of work that I and others have been fortunate to do in cabinet.
George Heyman is a 3-term member of the legislature who introduced the NDP's Clean BC Climate and Economic Plan. He says serving the people of his Vancouver Fairview riding since 2013 has been a great honor. He is endorsing former Vancouver City Councillor Andrea Reimer for the NDP nomination in the riding, which will transform into Vancouver Little Mountain. Current City Councillor Christine Boyle is also seeking that nomination. Canada has lost its First Lady of Jazz. Eleanor Collins died yesterday in Surrey at the age of 104. She's being remembered for her illustrious career and social legacy. Yvette Bren looks back at her remarkable life.
When an irresistible force such as you meets and holds immovable objects like me, you can bet.
Eleanor Collins has been dubbed Canada's First Lady of Jazz.
Something's gotta give, something's gotta give, something's gotta give.
Number one, because she was the first in some of those situations. The first woman, first black woman to have their own television show.
Welcome to the show, Bert.
Well, thank you, Eleanor.
She hosted Eleanor, a CBC show in the 50s.
Something cool.
And was billed with jazz greats of her time, from Oscar Peterson to Dizzy Gillespie. Still, most people don't know her whole name, much less her first.
When I heard them, I thought, this is Canada's Ella. This is Canada's Billy, you know, thinking of all those jazz legends that go by their first names.
At 16, she was singing at supper hour shows in Edmonton.
She had courage. She was a first on many levels. She was a pioneer, and she exhibited grace, class, and dignity at all times.
In the 1930s, she moved to Burnaby, BC, at a time when black people faced overt racism. When neighbors protested her presence, she volunteered to teach their children music.
That showed the kind of person she was and how she confronted it, and she won them over.
No complaints. And no regrets.
No complaints and no regrets. I still believe in chasing dreams and placing bets, but I have learned that all you give is all you get, so give it all you got.
Still strong to the last note. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
With one case of measles reported in BC now, health officials remind you and, if you have kids, to vaccinate them. After the break, we hear from a doctor on why protection is so vital. And thanks for joining our commercial-free live stream tonight. Friends, family, and members of the community gathered in Nanaimo over the weekend to honor a woman who's been missing for half a year. Sherry Corrigal was last seen in September, prompting Mounties to once again appeal for any clues in her case. Claire Palmer spoke with loved ones who believe she's alive and are pleading for any information to help find her.
Sherry Corrigal has been missing for nearly 6 months. Friends and family came together today, pleading for her to return home.
We love you. We miss you. We just want to know that you're okay. We just want you to come home.
You know, I wait for the call. I wait for the call. I'm her next of kin on her records, so, you know, I believe that she's still with us. I still believe that she is with us.
It's believed that Corrigal was last seen in Nanaimo on September 11th at Franklin and Selby, where she was dropped off by a friend. Nanaimo RCMP say they're extremely concerned about her whereabouts. Her foster family says she was known to stay with different friends and family, so she wasn't reported missing until November. despite having been missing for 2 months.
I know she wouldn't not message me back. And just because of the lifestyle, I was worried that, nobody would care that she was missing. But there's a lot of people who really care about her.
While she lived a transient life, Eastbrook says it's not like her to not be in contact. Friends describe Corrigal as caring and an outgoing person.
It's nice. It's nice to see that people care about Sherry, and she does have a lot of friends, and that says something for the kind of person that she is. So.
Agnew says that she was a motivated girl with a lot to look forward to.
She had many different things she wanted to do. But just never reached it yet. And there's still lots of time if we find her. She's got a lifetime to reach that goal, right?
Agnew says that baseless rumors about what happened to Corrigal aren't helpful and asks for anyone with first-hand information to speak with police. Claire Palmer, CBC News, Nanaimo.
Back to our top story now. One case of measles has been reported in BC. As the number of infections rises in some parts of the world, it's the first recorded case in this province since 2019. Dr. Iris Gorfinkel is a family physician and clinical researcher in Toronto. She joins us now. Dr. Gorfinkel, thanks for being here. First of all, what measles symptoms should people be watching out for right now?
It starts out looking just like a cold. In fact, the best doctor cannot tell the difference between a cold, flu, COVID. It looks just like that. Runny nose, cough, sore throat, high fever. But then 2 days in, something special happens. Koplik spots. Now, those are spots that develop on the inside of the mouth, and they are unique to measles. So COVID doesn't cause it, the common cold doesn't cause it, and neither does influenza. They look like tiny grains of salt on a red base. Now, those are only going to be there for 2 days because as the rash goes from the mouth, it can spread to the face, to the neck, to the trunk of the body, and then out to involve the arms and legs and the palms and soles. But that rash on the mouth, that's the big clue. 7 out of 10 people experience it.
It sounds unpleasant, and we know that there is no cure for measles. We do have a vaccine. Are there any other treatments beyond that?
Yeah, it's kind of scary because 1 in 5 people who get measles wind up in the hospital. 1 in 20 kids can have pneumonia. So the clock starts ticking as soon as the symptoms start. 3 days into it, in fact, a person can still get vaccinated, and that will reduce the severity of the disease. If it's as late as 6 days, antibodies can be given to reduce the severity of the disease. But it's important to understand, these do not cure the disease. No. We don't have any antivirals or antibiotics that treat it. It's a viral infection. So unfortunately, what we're left with are things like Tylenol to treat symptoms.
Now, with spring break on the horizon, lots of people planning to travel. What are your concerns as we may expect an increase in travel and possible spread?
Yeah, I want you to just imagine those airports for a moment. Crowds of people standing shoulder to shoulder, breathing, blowing their nose on their Kleenexes, then touching railings. because guess how measles is spread? It can stay 2 hours in the air. It can stay 2 hours on surfaces. And that's how people can get it. Breathing it in, touching those surfaces. So that is very concerning. Travel is a reason to ensure that you're vaccinated.
Now, if people are unsure if they or perhaps their kids are vaccinated, what is the best thing for them to do? If they can find the list that perhaps their mom, and blessed my mother for having that list that said I was vaccinated, but what if you don't know?
If you don't know, it's always better just to get vaccinated. The vaccinated safety is very much there. The risks of not being vaccinated are very severe. As I say, 1 in 5 individuals who get measles will in fact be hospitalized. And it takes 95% of us to stop community spread. And as you may have heard, we've already had a case in Ontario of community spread. So it is pretty concerning. So if in doubt, get vaxxed.
All right. Dr. Iris Gorfinkel, family physician and clinical researcher in Toronto. We always appreciate your time and your expertise. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
There's a live shot of Vancouver City Hall. We are due for some sun, some cloud, and some cooler temperatures on the south coast. Darius will have your BC-wide forecast after this.
Day 37 of the missions around every step across Canada. Beautiful day here in the southwest corner of Newfoundland. Getting really close to Port Au Basque.
Very much driven by a lot of grief I was feeling from the loss of both of my parents to cancer. Not only emotionally, but also physically, like just crazy hard to move forward.
Day 61 of the Cross Canada run today.
I had heard about Terry Fox's story in the past, just from videos online and things, and I was really moved by what I saw there, not just with what he did, but like the way he did it with such a great spirit and in such a great way. Yeah, I was really, really moved by his story, and obviously his cause was cancer research.
There's John here on day 117, I think it is. Just made it to Ontario. Super stoked. This road, just been coming down this bike trail over here. So it's really, really cool to be in Ontario now.
And yeah, wildlife, the bear got into the stroller that I push all of my stuff inside, I nicknamed her Shania.
Heading out.
Very regular obstacles, challenges, difficulties. The weather, the wildlife. So I was in Calgary when we had the coldest temperatures in half a century.
G'day, John here. I'm the Kiwi fella currently running solo across the entire width of Canada.
I've had some of the most beautiful compliments and comments I've ever received in my life have come from people that I've met along the way on this journey, just how much this run has touched them. You know, people that have lost family to cancer as well.
Hey, John here. I'm the Kiwi fella running solo across the entire width of Canada.
I'm really proud of how much obviously the funds raised, and obviously having reached Victoria, actually reached the end, but I think the thing I'm most proud of is the beautiful effect it seems to have had on people that I've met along the way.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond. Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Calling all entrepreneurs. Dragon's Den auditions are back. On March 6th, attend a special entrepreneurial workshop at the Okanagan Regional Library, Kelowna branch. The open auditions are on March 7th at the Kelowna Innovation Centre, and Vancouver auditions are on March 9th and 10th at the CBC Broadcast Centre. For more information and to register, visit cbc.ca/dragonsden.
This weekend, the people of Revelstoke revived their winter carnival just in time to celebrate their town's 125th anniversary. The event's been on pause for some 2 decades. We went to the comeback.
This is not a turd of a carnival.
Not at all.
Super fun. I mean, look at how many community members are out here. I will likely be a pusher or a puller. I'm definitely not sitting in it.
Anything that brings that amount of fun and community spirit, especially between like businesses, and it's a kind of a small knit business community. A lot of rivalry and fun, you know? Poke each other a little.
Celebrating the outdoor spirit of Revelstoke that is obviously so clearly alive here.
I think the turnout is great. It's so nice to see the community together, young and old, and we're about to start another race. Yay!
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Time for our BC-wide weather forecast as we get more snow across much of BC with Darius Madavi. Good for the snowpack, but
is the key word here. You can see this black line is this year. Finally, not the lowest, not record low, but probably still second or third lowest, still in the bottom 10% of all years in the last 35 to 40 years, and that puts it at either the worst, second worst, or third worst, somewhere in there. So not great, but better. We get our formal update where we'll see the map with all the different regions on Friday, but for now, this is the best we've got. And promising is what we'll say, even though it's only the automatic station. So improved, but still bad. But in terms of winter sports and people who are more focused on getting to finally get those ski days in, a little bit of good news, both for the local mountains and for places in the interior, all those resorts, and up at Whistler, a little bit of improvement and a lot more snow, as much as 1 to 2 meters in some places. Very much welcome news. Now, in terms of improvement, but still bad, we should also take a look at the Avalanche map, because this was all red earlier, so all high risk. Now, many places have come down to considerable or moderate risk, which is still not great, but a little bit better. But you should still be very careful if you're going out into any of those areas. Be very cautious of those avalanches. Now, if we take a look at what we're seeing across the province, most of that snow in the southeast has now stopped. Just what we're going to see tomorrow is a little bit more along the BC-Alberta border. Small chance of some places like Golden seeing a little bit of that snow. But beyond that, we've got a very calm day tomorrow and into Wednesday, before we see this next system roll down Wednesday afternoon into the northwest, before spreading into Thursday across more of the province, including parts of Vancouver Island and potentially even Metro Vancouver and parts of the lower mainland. So we're watching it on that because the timing, Thursday into Friday, is a little bit uncertain. Now, the cold temperatures are going to be the big story the next couple days, because quite chilly, quite a bit below seasonal across BC, both in terms of the lows and those highs over the next few days. But overall, not looking too bad. Very calm across the province tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, which we've been missing lately, but you either get the sun or you get the warmth here. It's a pretty classic Vancouver in March, because you get cold but sunny days the next few days, and then warmer but showery into the weekend.
It's a month of contrast. Thanks, Darius.
Thanks, Dan.
And an update to our top story. TransLink now says the Canada Line police incident has been cleared. Service has been restored, but expect gaps as trains return to regular frequency. Good news there. That's your late news for Monday. Thanks for joining us tonight. For news at any hour, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. That starts tomorrow morning at 5:30. Good night.